picture of like what kind of inmates we were working with. Here are the key messages from the Vice Chancellor of Kanpur University and the District Jail Superintendent of Kanpur. So I'm not going to dig deep into this. These messages came after the workshop was completed successfully. Now, here I'm going to talk about like, what kind of negative impacts of imprisonment are there on the three key stakeholders. One is the prisoners themselves, the other is the families, and the society. On the prisoners, it leads to a lot of mental health issues. Their self-worth is challenged. There's a lot of increased anger, anxiety, and despair among the prisoners. Uh, it also leads to the alienation and stigmatization of the inmates. They feel a lot of social stigma. Their reintegration with the society and their families becomes very difficult, and they are trapped into a kind of cycle of crime because when they go to the jail, a lot of prisoners have this habit of being in the cycle of crime, and they become friends. The last thing which happens to the business is that they lose a lot of skills and opportunities, which leads to a lot of difficulty in post-release employment, and which also causes a lot of frustration between the prisoners. On the family, it leads to a lot of financial strain, the separation to economic hardships, and affecting families across generations. Because if young person goes to jail, the father and the son and everybody gets affected. Apart from that, the expenses which are occurred for hearing in the court and other things also leads to a lot of financial burden. The emotional distress is there. The anxiety and depression due to the family members' imprisonment is something which we have also seen on the families, and it also causes a lot of strain in their own relationship, which leads to a long-term familial discord and affecting children's development. Because somebody's father goes to jail, the children also suffer because of that. And the last on the society, it leads to over a representation of disadvantaged populations in jail, which perpetuates the poverty and crimes. Because in what we have seen is that many of these prisoners were from the financially disadvantaged spectrum of the society, and high cost maintain is there in maintaining the jail itself. A lot of resources are wasted in maintaining the jail itself, and this kind of imprisonment disrupts the community and the cohesion, and increasing the crime and social issues in the society. So these are the negative impacts of imprisonment. Now I'll talk about what is the like cycle of violence. And here the thing is that one thing leads to other and it becomes a cycle. So that the tension, the stress, the self-doubt, and the communication breakdown, which is triggered by the internal, and external events, leads to a lot of physical, emotional, and sexual violence. And this, and if they get caught and in the jail, there's a lot of gang culture, peer pressure, trading favors, normalization of violence is there. And this leads to the hardening of those very negative emotions and habits, which leads to the resentment, animosity, and revenge and denial. That these are the kind of habits which translate into a very hardened and uh, difficult to go back to habits. And this again leads to the tension, stress, self-doubt, and communication background. So this is a kind of cycle of violence which the prisoners go through in the jail and after this. So the entire program was how we are going to break this cycle of violence. So the objective of this workshop was how to instill the trust, respect, and compassion and love to create the harmonious environment in the jail. The second objective of this workshop was how to promote positive behavior changes to reduce the conflict and violence within the prison. The next thing was how to boost the emotional health because many of them were under very huge emotional, what we say, depression and other things. So how we can improve the emotional well-being for the better management of psychological challenges which the prisoners face, and also to formulate a methodology where we wanted to develop a framework to integrate the UHV, the Universal Human Values, into the jail programs, and then strengthen the efforts to implement universal human values across jail for inmates and staff. Because in this entire picture, the jail staff also plays a very key role. So we also wanted to incorporate them in this thing. And the methodology which we like used was the self-reflection, which is a key methodology in UHV. And it encourages self-awareness and understanding within the broader context of life, not only the prison. That most of the prisoners were thinking, why this happened to me? Why somebody else committed the crime and I am only the person who got convicted? And these kind of emotions were there. So this led to the self-reflection within the broader context of life. The second one is that how the inmates internalize the concept of testing them in their lives rather than testing others in their lives, and fostering a genuine acceptance that whatever has happened, maybe there are certain things which they have made the decision for. And the other thing is that defining what their life goals could be, and rather than what their life goals are right now, then what it could be. So this also helped the inmates to identify the key life goals such as happiness, prosperity, and continuity. In the further slides, I will talk that what their life goals were right now when this workshop was not had not happened. And other thing was that understanding the interconnectedness, that which promotes empathy and cooperation by exploring the coexistence between the individuals and the nature. What is their role with respect to broader society, rather than focusing on themselves only. And then cultivating a holistic worldview, which encourages the deeper self-understanding and better relationships, supporting reintegration post the release from the prison. And the kind of resources which we used was questionnaire and the group discussions, which stimulated introspection and collective problem solving. So these were the kind of, if you can see the picture, these were the kind of group discussions uh, which we as a team facilitated. We had a set of questionnaires also. And then we also had like open sharing, where the environment of mutual learning through these free expression was there, because most of the times these prisoners were not allowed to share their feelings freely. Now, in this environment, they were able to share their feelings freely. And then how we continued after this 15-day workshop in a weekly workshop series, which happened for the 7 long months. So this was the methodology and the resources which we used during this. Now we are going to talk about like, what was the impact. Like there were three things: Samaj, Suvidha, and Sambandh. So how in each of these areas their thinking changed. So before, like they were saying that they hated their own life. They used to think that whatever their decisions were, they were taking decisions in very hastily manner. And previously, they did not know how to understand the words of others. And some of them said, I used to cut off other people's words without understanding what they are trying to say. This was their level of understanding before. And after this workshop, what happened is that their hatred towards the life changes. Now they wanted, now life, thoughts, and behavior have changed. I used to make decisions in haste, now changed to now I don't take decisions in haste. I go to the root and try to understand why that person is saying certain things. And now this person, they previously they do not want to understand the words of others. Now listening to the words of others and consider what is right and what is wrong according to their own free will, self security. And now they do not want to interrupt others words, and they wanted to listen to them, understand them, and give importance to their words also. So this is the kind of change which they saw in the Samajwala part. In the Sambandh, they first wanted to take revenge on their opponents and take out those who framed him, because they wanted to go out of jail and they wanted to take out their frustrations on those people. And now they can see that after going through this workshop, they can see that protest, what was going inside them, and they knew how to correct the wrong thoughts, and now there is no feeling of revenge in them. The initial feeling which was there, if somebody used to speak wrong about me, he used to end the relationship with those people. Now that type of feeling changed to, now if someone speaks wrong, they do not feel bad, and they do not end the relationship with those people. The other change which we saw was that there was anger in the mind towards their first family members also, that why they are not pursuing with a great lawyer, why they are not trying to come and meet them every Sunday or in a certain frequency. Now they see that now I talk lovingly to everyone in the family. The feeling of revenge towards their own family members has diminished. And the earlier thoughts that they used to ignore listening to somebody else's words, now I do not ignore. I try to learn something by listening to their words. So these are the kind of changes which we saw in the Department of Sambandh. The the Suvidha part, they used to think about earning money in any manner. Now it changed. Now I think about my family, society, and nature and how I can be helpful in it. The other thing was that I wanted to drink wine first and go for a walk. They wanted to have wine and they want to just go and roam freely. And now they were in a mood of like thinking that how I can give up alcohol and lead a good life with my family. So these are the kind of changes, these are the kind of impact which business underwent after attending this workshop. And what these inmates said about the usability of this kind of workshop, the universal human values in the jail. And the first thing which they told us that तनाव कम होंगे, विचारों में परिवर्तन आएगा. The tension will get diminished and their thoughts will be altered. The other thing which they told us that बंदियों की सोच बदल सकते हैं, बदला लेने की बदलने की भावना बढ़ जाएगी. Like the possibility of fundamental change will increase. This is what they told us. जो भी अपराध हुए हैं वह परिवार व अपने में ही समझ ना होने के कारण हुए हैं, इसलिए यह कार्यशाला सभी कैदियों के लिए उपयोगी है. वॉट एवर क्राइम्स हैव हैपेंड बिकॉज ऑफ नॉट द राइट काइंड ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग विच दे हैड with the family and within their larger societal roles, and because of that they have committed such crimes. And this was the guilt and this was the realization which the people came to. And these are there are other thoughts related to why this workshop is important for the inmates, and how this workshop is useful in their own life is that जीवन जीने का नया रास्ता मिल गया. अगर पहले मिला होता तो जीवन कुछ और ही होता. We got a new way of life and they wished that they would have gone through this kind of workshop before committing the crime itself. So that was the kind of impact they had said. They also said that ये पता चला कि मानव जीवन क्या है और इसे निरंतर सुख और समृद्धि पूर्वक कैसे जी सकते हैं. They got to know that what is the larger purpose of their life, of being born as a human, and how they can ensure the continuous sukh and samriddhi in their life. And this is the kind of impact which they saw in their own life. Here we can hear about the testimonials, what this business said at the end of the workshop. In the favor of time, I'm not going to play these recordings, but these are shared in the presentation. If anybody is interested, they can go through these recordings. It will be like it is good to listen to them in the raw form rather than in the presentation. And so after this workshop, like what were the key activities which were done in the follow-up? So as I told you that from June 25th, 2023 onwards, we started conducting a weekly session in the workshops. We also started training of the trainers between the inmates itself. So we identified the potential inmate leaders who grasped the concept very well. And we thought, why not to train these people who, because they are living with other people 24 hours. So why not to train the inmates itself? So that was the second point. Thirdly, we also started pilots in new jail locations. So for example, we started in Ghaziabad, Noida, Bulandshahr, and Meerut, which was also aligned with the National Education Policies 2020 guidelines. So this is the kind of thing. And then we also presented a 6 months report to the key decision makers and officials of the Uttar Pradesh prison rehabilitation programs and the jail department, the police, and the universities, every key stakeholders who were involved in this process. This is how the follow-up happened. That we also we got the permission to play audio video sessions book reading sessions in the jail itself. A very good program happened that there was an experiment of radio in the jail itself, and in the jail, a 15 to 30 minutes engaging sessions were played. So prisoners used to listen to radios, and they could also ask questions to the host who was announcing these things. They used to share what is going on in their minds, and a lot of group discussions inside the barracks of the prisoners also started happening, which was led by the PS, the trainers themselves. And then we also conducted a evaluation, the pre and post assessment participation tracking, feedback forms, how we can improve these sessions, what are the things which we can provide them for more effectiveness, and refining this program itself. So these are the things which we followed up in the next subsequent 7 months. And now what we are trying to do is that we want to like expand this plan to new business, sorry. So the criteria for the selection is that focus on the business where the high inmate populations are there and the suitable infrastructure is there where we can conduct these workshops. And the priority is given to the reform ready business with the collaborative staff, because as I told you, staff plays a very, very key role in conducting these kind of workshops. And we also want to try this workshop where the high kind of the business who are coming, the high violence rate is there, so that the impact which we can measure will be of high magnitude. And this has to be done in very, very phased manner. So we need to first pilot this phase, then evaluate this phase, and then only we can scale it up. And the resources which we have identified is that we need to train the facilitators uh, for the UHV philosophy, and we need to develop and distribute the educational materials which can be distributed in the prison environment, because not everything could be shared in the prison environment. It has got some kind of restrictions and permissions also. We also want to train the jail staff, which is familiar with the UHV concepts, and we need to develop the support system where the logistical and the administrative support is also there for the smooth functioning of the workshops. So this is there, and the recommendation for the future workshop is that we should have a regular follow-up workshops for reinforcement of the learning and provide a continued support, because what we saw is that after the 15-day workshop, a lot of inmates were interested in in having a further dialogue, because it was just a parichaya, it was just an introduction. And now that the switch was on, and now that those kind of thoughts were there, and if we would have not conducted the follow-up workshop, then it would have been very difficult for them to live with uh, those active ingredients in their minds and be in the super challenging environment that the prison is. And there should also be the expansion of the resources, that we should have more specific material which is tailored for the kind of environment the prisoners are. We also need to train the inmates themselves so that they can have a continuous peer learning. And we can also strengthen the partnership between the institutes, the NGOs, and other key stakeholders who are involved in this process. So these are the recommendations for the future workshops. The long-term vision for this experiment is that we should embed the UHV workshops into the official prison rehabilitation system. And we should also create a replicable UHV model for the widespread adoption across the prisons. And we should regularly update UHV curriculum through research and feedback so that it is apt for the business, and involve the community in rehabilitation and post-release support, the larger family and other people, and implement the systems to track the progress and guide program improvements. We should also see that what happens when these business go out of jail. So we should also track the progress of these things. And so with this, I end this presentation. I hope I would have been able to give you some glimpse of this how this experiment was conducted. So that's the end from my side. Over to the facilitators of this uh, Zoom session. If there are any questions or anything, please let me know.
Yes, very nice, Nitesh ji. It was quite eye-opening report on and the efforts of all the volunteers in doing this. If anybody has any questions for Nitesh ji, we can um, put them forward.
There are any questions or any suggestions? Like, I would love to hear them, because this was the very first time I was presenting this thing, although I I was involved in the designing of this thing. But if any suggestions are there, that I'll also welcome, apart from the questions.
Nitesh ji, good morning. Namaste. Yeah, this
Namaste.
is Sunil Kumar. So
Sunil
very
bhai.
nice to listen to you. One thing which I would like to ask you is when you presented this content to the presenters, were you presenting the content as we present in the say, workshops, like in the TPs or student development programs, or did you modify something? And second question is, are they volunteering to listen to that, or are they forced to listen to this?
So yes, so the content was very well designed, because Bhanu Bhaiya was involved, and he used to tailor what and how we are going to deliver the content to the people, to the inmates, because the environment is very different. These people are coming from very different mind of frame. I will not say environment, because everybody, like, they were like, some of them were principals of school, or some were the BTech students and all those things. So not a very different, but the mind frame was very different. And some of them who were very new to the prison system, and some of them were seasoned culprits also. So that way it was a very tough thing, and how to balance what to present, what to say and what not to say. That was also going on, because as we discussed with Bhanu Bhaiya, he said these are the things which we need to think about before saying anything. What was your second question, Bhaiya?
Regarding, are they volunteering themselves to sit before
Yes, yes.
you, or are you very forcing them to sit before you?
Yes, sir. So very interesting thing happened, that see, when the idea of this thing was floated in the jail, that such kind of workshop is going to be there, nobody had an idea ki kya hone wala hai. So they initially, these people thought that in the morning they are going to do yoga. So they used to think अच्छा yoga session होने वाला है. But subsequently they came to realize that ये yoga session नहीं है. But in the normal jail की भाषा, they used to say yoga session होने वाला है. So for them it was a yoga session, but they never knew ki what is going to happen. But the thing is that after 15 days, like, there was lot of key people who came to us, and they thought कि इसको खत्म नहीं होना चाहिए था. Many of those people, many of the initial people had to leave the program because they got bail, or somebody was not like they got a key court hearing, because in between that, the jail thing, the hearing was also there, and because of the hearing, they have to not attend the session itself, because they have to go for the jail hearing. So a lot of things were happening simultaneously, but we got a very fine, refined, filtered group of audience who were there from the beginning to the last. Like, to the last means 7 months जब खत्म भी हो गए तब तक. That way.
Very nice. Thank you. So much encouraging, and we can copy this to many other,
Yeah,
jails and
yeah.
kind of
I
exposure.
feel blessed. I feel blessed that I was a part of this entire this experiment, and to talk to those people and be there with them, listen to the complexities in their mind. Like, somebody had committed some the kind of crimes they would have committed, and the situations in which they have committed. Like, this was a, like, listening from their own words was a very mind opening for us also. It was a very, like, equally transitioning experience for us also. This I can say from my
Thank you.
personal experience.
Thank you so much.
Very nice. I think many a times, as people outside, many of us may be having a certain mindset regarding prisoners.
Yes.
They are, I suppose, perpetually looked at as the bad guys. Uh, but what you mentioned right in the beginning regarding they hated themselves.
Yes, yes.
I think that itself shows, how much they are suffering. And so the jail becomes one more place where the suffering continues. But when we do something to help them understand things, how much of an impact it makes on their lives. And a follow-up even further, once they come out there and are back to the challenges of the real world outside the prison, then something for support, I think, would make a huge difference.
Yes.
And another thing I was thinking was that perhaps even when these workshops are going on in the prison, are we also doing something where the prisoners are given some responsibility in that limited area that they have? And perhaps that might also be something that um, they that would help them, and in turn help all the prisoners in general. Those were two things that I was thinking. At the end, maybe I'll just mention a little bit about, what some suggestions presentation. But if anybody else would like to place their observations or questions to Nitesh ji, the floor is open. Kumar Bhaiya. Anybody else? Geeta ji?
Didi, namaste.
जी.
Sabhi ko namaste. Wonderful presentation, Nitesh ji.
Thank
Seeing
you.
the title, I thought, let me attend this discussion. So I joined this room. It was an excellent presentation. But one question I'm having, let me ask from my own life. Nitesh ji, I am associated with UHV for 4 years. Still, I could see there are so many. I'm going back. I mean, for some time, I'm thinking that, okay, everything is fine. I'm improving like that. I have in my own mind. But sometime after a specific incident, I come back to square one. Then again, it takes a difficult time for me to work upon the UHV proposals. I'm very clear. This is the only way I have to pursue in my life. That is very clear for me. There is no second thought in that. But the thing is, I'm going back to square one again. So it's a bit challenging when I explore UHV proposals and when I connect UHV proposals with my own life. So this is my own observation. So my question to you, Nitesh ji, I have not committed much of that type who are in prison. But I do have some thoughts which are violent, which are brutal in nature. Honestly speaking, I would say. So whatever work we have taken with jailmates, I have a question. Will it really bring reform in their lives? I'm comparing with my own life and I'm asking you. Sorry, don't mistake me if the question is otherwise. Yes, over to you.
So I'll share a story with you. I think that
Ji.
will. There was a. I'll. Okay, I'll share my screen also. I'll show you. I don't know if I'm. मतलब मेरा time हो गया कि नहीं हो गया? Is this screen visible to everybody?
Ji. Ji. It is in Hindi.
No. So. So this is a story about this person. You can see this person.
Yeah, yeah.
He's an elderly person who was in his 60 plus, and he got into jail, and he said मेरा मतलब I'm quoting in Hindi right now. मेरा लाइफ का एक ही मकसद है कि जब मैं यहाँ से बाहर निकलूं तो जिस पुलिस वाले ने मुझे अंदर किया है मैं उसके साथ में रिवेंज लूं. This person. And after this workshop, this person was released from the jail, and he went to the police station and
Mm.
he gifted mithai to that person. And he said कि आपकी वजह से ये वर्कशॉप मैं अटेंड कर पाया हूँ, अगर आपने मुझे जेल नहीं भेजा होता तो मैं ये वर्कशॉप नहीं अटेंड कर पाया होता. So I think this is all up to us, like what we experience, what are the kind of thoughts which we go through. No doubt, I am also a naive person, just like you, Geeta ji.
Mm.
We also, after talking to these people, हम भी अपने बारे में सोचते हैं कि यार ये थॉट तो मेरे अंदर भी था, तो मेरे अंदर और इसमें क्या अंतर है. And these people also said कि असली असली जो क्राइम करने वाले हैं, they are sitting outside this jail. We all are innocent, and this kind of innocence feeling is between is वो सभी के साथ में होता है कि वो अगला वाला व्यक्ति ज्यादा क्राइम करके बैठा हुआ. बट दिस इज अ काइंड ऑफ चेंज इन माइंडसेट. लाइक
Mm.
one of these prisoners was convicted. I will not say who, but was
Mm.
convicted of dowry and other things, है ना. He
Mm.
killed wife, and then he was thinking about his children, how to make up with his children and all those things. So ये सारे जो doubts हैं, ये इनके दिमाग में भी चलते ही रहते हैं. And I think that यूएचवी हमको खुद को एक्सप्लोर करने का बहुत अच्छा एक रास्ता देता है. उस रास्ते पे हम कितना चल पाते हैं वो हमारा सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन और हमारी एक्सटर्नल और इंटरनल कंडीशंस ही डिटरमाइन करती हैं. सो इफ द चेंजेस दीज पीपल कैन सी इन देयर लाइफ,
Mm.
आई थिंक वी आर इन अ मच बेटर position and environment, because I have never visited a jail before, like with this program, and I could see
Mm.
hardships are there, how they sleep, how the next person who is lying next to you would have
Mm.
been a जिसको कि आप अपनी लाइफ से मतलब हमेशा हेट करते हो. क्योंकि यहाँ पर भी जैसा क्लास सिस्टम होता है, वैसे यहाँ पर भी क्लास सिस्टम है. अच्छा, तुमने ये वाला क्राइम कमिट किया तो तुम इस लेवल के क्रिमिनल हो, तुम ये वाला क्राइम किया है तो तुम इस लेवल के क्रिमिनल हो. So that all those things are there, and all the Bahubalis and the small weaklings are also here. Many of them
Mm.
not committed any crime. They are there without any their mistake, and they are also living with these people. तो ये सारी चीजें, द इनजस्टिस, द फीलिंग ऑफ इनजस्टिस, द फीलिंग ऑफ बीइंग हेटेड बाय अदर्स, द फीलिंग ऑफ सेल्फ लेस सेल्फ वर्थ की जो फीलिंग आती है कि हमारा कुछ भी नहीं है, helplessness, there's nobody to listen to me, and all those things, these people are in a very very extreme position. And if these people can find light in that
Mm.
situation, then I think we should have more positive thoughts about UHV, and we should have more strength to jump back
Mm.
to whatever we are trying to do if we have faith in UHV system. I am not sure how much clarity I have given to, but this is something which I felt being there. I am also naive, just like you. I am also like associated with since 2018 only. So that's it from my side.
Some of the things you shared in Hindi, I couldn't make it out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was not aware of that.
It's okay. It's okay. But I think the environment, I mean, the thought of violence would have been strengthened in them. So I thought it's a very big challenge for them to make a shift. So that was the particular question I was focusing.
Yes.
But anyway, it's all possible. That I could clearly see with the contents of UHV proposals. One must
Yeah.
have that's courage and determination to pursue.
Yes. 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 And it is a continuous pursuit. It is not a milestone which we need to achieve that abhi ye ho gaya. It is a continuous pursuit.
Yeah, that I am very clear, because that is why I am getting connected with that. I know slowly the change will come, but I have to pursue. That is there.
Yes.
Thank you so
Yes.
much for
Thank
this
you, Devi.
wonderful project and
I'm sorry.
presentation. Thanks a
I'm
lot.
sorry. I was not aware of your Hindi language. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you.
Gee, very nice uh, response to Geeta ji's question. I think the important thing is that at least the opportunity be there.
Yes.
At least we don't judge them for what has happened. And if we are going to base our effort on the outcome, then it seems more of a challenge. But if we take it as a process and see that the outcome will naturally come in time, we just make the effort in the process, I think that makes also a lot of difference. Dr. Kumar Sambhav, I think would like to say something.
Yeah,
You're
very
on.
nicely presented, Nitesh ji, the whole work and the impact that it has. I just have one question, like once the prisoners come out of the jail, so do we have any program so that we can sustain this development in them?
As of right now, we do not have, but we intend to do that thing. Many of the prisoners had asked for our ashram's number, phone number, and they were inquiring about that, what happens after they come out of jail. Mm, Sadly, I'm not in a position to tell like what has happened after the jail has happened. So that is something which we have thought about this thing, and we need to work on that also.
Yeah, maybe we can raise a follow-up program also and
Yes.
get them connected to the mainstream program, and that will really help them as well
Yes.
as the society.
Definitely, Bhaiya. That is very much required. Very much required.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. This is interestingly what I was also talking about when we were talking about a follow-up program. And I think it is important that we get them out of this stigma of prisoner. So what Kumar Sambhavji was sharing, if we can have them, get them back into the regular environment without the stigma, that would be a great step forward. And if we can some start on that, perhaps by November, if we can have some beginnings of what we plan to do as a follow-up program, I think that would be very useful, very beneficial. Any other questions if we have for Nitesh ji? Garima ji, do we still have time or not? I'm not sure.
We can't hear you, Garima Didi.
Can you hear me now? Am I audible now?
नहीं, आपको सुन सकते हैं, गरिमा दीदी को नहीं.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible now. I was just asking if we have a little more time or when do we?
So, yes. So actually the time was till 12,
Yes.
right?
Oh,
And this being rehearsal and such an important discussion was being done. So I didn't bother to intervene. But what I feel is that for such projects which are so extensive and we have so much to discuss, there will be questions from the delegates also. We
yes,
need to, reconsider this time of 30
exactly.
minutes.
Yes,
Practically, it is not possible, I think.
yes. And while we are at it, and since we have taken up more time, Nitesh ji, I had a few suggestions for the slides. You had mentioned regarding Samaj Sambandh Suvidha. If we
Yes.
can have the English versions also with that, understanding relationship and physical facility, since the
ठीक.
conference is in English. The other
Okay.
thing I was thinking was that perhaps if the lettering on the slides could be a little bigger, it would be more readily readable. At least for me, I was finding it a little bit difficult to read the other than the main points, the smaller points. So that would be helpful. And a third thing that I was thinking is that the initial graphs or the diagrams, the pie diagrams that you showed, there were several of them. It was a little confounding. And could we perhaps integrate something in, say, one or two diagrams, which would give a broad gist of what you were saying? Perhaps that could help. I don't know if it will be possible. They were great to look at even now, but if we could do that also, maybe it would come across in a sharper way, because so much good work has been done. It should not seem undermined, you know. Those were some of the things I was thinking of.
ठीक है दीदी.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll work on these things.
Ji.
This will definitely make it better. Okay.
Yes.
If anybody else also wants to say, kuch nahi, I can.
Yeah, I have one suggestion. It so happened, Bhaiya, while listening to what you were sharing, and you shared it very beautifully. Only thing is that while sharing, many times you said that this task is over. So they have stopped quarreling with the family members, they have stopped reacting, they have started accepting. So it becomes as if the task is complete and a complete transformation has taken place. So in place of that, we can say that their quarrels have come down, their reactions have come down, their acceptance has grown. So that will be a better. Otherwise, it will look little naive, on our part to say that all things are done.
Okay.
True.
ठीक
Very true.
ठीक है भैया. Thank you.
Nice, Bhaiya.
Very nice. Ji,
Are we done?
Garima ji.
Thank you, Mr. Nitesh, for the nice presentation. I wanted to formally thank him. And further, we don't have IIT Kanpur project and MPEC presenting today. So MPEC and IIT Kanpur are unable to present today. But then we have a presentation at 2 o'clock by Punjab University. So these
So it's
slots
just
will be
as well.
vacant in between.
So it's just as well we took some extra time.
That's why.
Yeah, but
So,
certainly you can talk to the people in charge that perhaps this may need a little more time. This is an important
yes.
work that has been done.
And I can share my personal view here.
Yeah.
That I feel that such an important project is being discussed in a separate room, right? Along with some institutional sharings and individual sharings. I feel there can be some common session where these projects can be combinedly shared, like a keynote after that. I mean, I don't know whether it will be feasible or not, but we may think of, I mean, I wanted to listen to village project also, but because I have to be here in a jail project, I can't be present there. So
You are
there
in the jail.
we can see so there we can see the possibility if it is there.
So
I don't
everybody.
know. I mean, because
It seems.
Yeah, so you can give the suggestion, Garima ji. And
Ji.
I will also put that forward from my side. I think it is important because
Right.
a
So
lot of work.
it is like, yes, it is so much to, I mean, it is such a nice experiment done there. So,
I think if
so
the
we meet at 2 o'clock now?
I suppose.
Yes.
I think if the
Yes,
would have
Nitesh
permitted,
ji, you can.
I was saying if the time would have permitted, we could also have played the recordings because listening from the business firsthand would have made a very good impact. But
I
in the
think it is still helpful to do that. At least recording if you can put, and perhaps English subtitles of what they are saying. If we could have that, that will.
Or, Sharmila Di, we can have this voiceover in English, like we have in Discovery Channel or documentary being played now. So certainly we hear that Hindi sentence also, but there is a voiceover who is uh, converting it into the English. So it may be impactful in that way.
Yeah, Nitesh ji, you can see
Much
whatever
effort
works.
would be required, but
Yes. So whatever works, we should do at least one sharing, I feel. The most effective sharing you feel out of them. We should put that forward and have some English version that people can hear. Nice. Very
ठीक है.
nice.
Geeta Didi has raised her hand.
Nitesh Bhaiya, I would also like to add one observation. What about the gender of the prisoners
These
that
were
you have
all
not mentioned?
Yeah, so these were all male prisoners because
Ah,
access to female prisoners by we were the all facilitators were male only. This.
okay.
So these could not be combined because the facility of jail does not provide us to
Right.
mix these two type of business. So there could be exclusively male workshops and exclusively female workshops. It could not be both could not be mixed.
Yes.
And I thought if it is also female prisoners and juvenile, I think uh, we can extend the project. So
Yes,
that is
yes.
my suggestion. Mm.
Yes, yes. So in fact, our entire workshop with the female prisoners was also planned.
Mm.
Uh, in Bulandshahr or some other place. What is the like update regarding that? I'm not aware, but it was also planned. And for
Yeah.
that, we need exclusively female facilitators for the workshop.
Ji. That was my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice. So I think Garimaji, if you want, you can conclude the session. Then.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Sharmila. And we had our resource persons, Dr. Sunil Kumar, Dr. Kumar Sambhav here, and Dr. A. Geeta also contributed to the discussion. And thank you, tech team, for supporting the entire effort. Thank you so much. We meet at 2 o'clock now. Thank you.
And thank you, Nitesh ji.
Thank you, Nitesh ji. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for
Thank you
this.
all.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste,
Best wishes
everyone.
to Nitesh ji.
Namaste.
Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.